everybody. Welcome to the morning market briefing. It's Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Right out of the gate, folks, if you have any questions that you'd like addressed, feel free to shoot us an email, tmmb@narwhal.com, tmmb, abbreviation for the morning market briefing at narwhal.com. Let us know what's going on. And as a reminder, we're partnering with the Jacobs Ladder Group. They're out there transforming lives through hope and healing, helping people reach their true potential. Great organization. If you have not already listened to our long-form podcast with the director of that group and heard about the genesis and the passion that she has and, frankly, the amazing work that they're doing there, you're missing out, so go check it out. It's on YouTube. It's also on any app that you get your podcast on. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out to any of us. You can email the podcast email I just gave you, or reach out to Tom, reach out to me. We do have a lunch and learn coming up in April. But in the meantime, go to the jacobsladdergroup.org. There's a donation button at the top right, trying to help those folks out as they balance the budget, retain really vital staff that's doing really vital work for our local community. So check them out, and we'd really appreciate it. Tom, how we doing?
Feeling good, feeling strong. A little tired. Stayed up really late last night watching the Donald talk. The longest State of the Union in history.
I got to tell you, I did not expect it to be brief by any stretch, but if you had told me at 9 o'clock p.m., I think he started just after it was basically 9/11. No jokes.
Easy to remember.
Yeah.
Hard to forget.
Started at 9/11, and if you told me at 9:05 that, hey, our guy's about to be out here, the president of the United States, the leader of the free world's coming out, and you know everything you know about him, and he is going to set a record for longest State of the Union, I don't think I would have been surprised, but I think I would have been very fearful and very disturbed and concerned. And the reality is, Tom, I actually thought this was, and I've seen a number of political commentators point this out, this was as smooth as he has ever been using the teleprompter and then transitioning off the teleprompter. He was not solely teleprompter, but when he was on it, he actually had a little bit of energy. A lot of the length was, I thought, even compared to historical joint congressional addresses or State of the Unions, I thought a lot more time was spent on applause.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for him, but for
these
really
United States.
The show that he put on and the people that he brought out. I thought stylistically his ability to actually bring people out into the media pit, like the men's hockey team, kind of made the time go by a little faster. Where it's like, oh, there's actually a little bit of a show going on. Stylistically, what were your impressions? Then we can jump into some of the substance.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the part that I enjoyed the most was the Medal of Honor stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty sick.
The guy, I will say that CBS got confused between the two different 100-year-old people who were involved, because they showed one guy for the first 100-year-old guy, and then they realized they were on the wrong guy when the other guy stood up, which was pretty funny.
I mean, the one was just winking at the crowd.
Yeah,
just still got it.
Yeah, man. But
awesome.
Fighter pilot stuff, man. My dad was a fighter pilot. Loved some fighter pilot Medal of Honor stuff.
What did you say his plane took on 226 rounds or something?
I mean, notably, he does have some citations for the Silver Star and the Distinguished Flying Cross, and obviously many. I'm not even sure how many, to be honest, but many flights over Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam over a 2-year period. So, those are the two just below the Medal of Honor. I think the Silver Star is the highest courage medal you can get prior to getting the Medal of Honor. So not too shabby by the old man. But, that stuff plays for me big time.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I don't know, if you don't like that, like, you're listening to the wrong show.
Your diaper is so full. You need to go get a new one.
Get over yourself. But no, it was pretty impressive to me that I did feel like Trump not only remained relatively on message, whether you agree with it or not. I think he was on message, and I do think he was on message on topics that specifically amongst independents, his party currently has a lead on. The one moment that stood out most specifically to me was when he asked everyone to stand if they felt like their number one obligation was to American citizens and not to illegal aliens. And Notably, one party did not stand. That is going to be coming to a TV screen near you tens of thousands of times in the form of an advertisement as we come up on these midterms. That's going to be used over and over.
I mean, I think it's certainly something to think about. What is the role of the United States government? What is the role of the president really? And I would argue the prosperity and protection of the citizens of these United States
should be number one.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting because it was like real smooth economy on message on the prompter. Where he ad-libbed a lot was during those pieces. The middle piece was really, here I'm going to hit the issues that people are griping most about, which would be Minnesota having ID to vote, DEI, things like that. And that's where, I mean, I think to his credit, if you're trying to get a moment where he got Ilhan Omar to look pretty grumpy and, I don't want to say like a terrorist, but a little bit, I mean, he got her. I mean, calling the Somali pirates. I mean, and I've said this on the podcast. I've said it, months ago, which is that I think there's a real fair shot you could balance the budget if you actually cut out all of the grift that's going on.
He said exactly that.
Yeah, and I think that's a real thing. I think that you need to, if your diaper is very full and you think that illegal immigrants are more important than American citizens and that they're not ripping us off, you need to consider your fears about the spiraling debt, because that's another thing that they're always.
You can't have both.
You can't have both. If you want to go out of pocket to take care of people who are not your friends, family, or community, then that's something you really need to think about. And it's not, listen, my in-laws are immigrants. I have some of my best friends are immigrants. Many of our clients who are friends of mine are not from this country. I played on a rugby team for a long time where I was the minority.
Yep.
Because we don't play.
Yeah, I very rarely hear a story from Tom involving a buddy that was American born.
Yeah,
that's
my bachelor party was comprised almost entirely of people not from this country. But they all came here legally, and there were a lot of struggles with that. And listen, I had to write a number of letters to embassies from different countries to help guys get over here so they could play on the rugby team, so they could live here for a period of time. And it's really difficult and a dicey work. And we had immigration lawyers on the team who worked around the clock to get guys in situations where they could either extend a visa or stay or prove that they could even come to this country to just be here. So, I mean, I think that there are people doing it the right way, there are people doing it the wrong way, and I think that that's something to be considered, and it's a huge drag on this country. Mm-hmm. It's a massive drag on this country.
It was interesting. I thought the way that he started very scriptedly, and then kind of got in his zone. And then, frankly, I was a little bit relieved to see him get back to the script. I did not think that was going to happen. I thought we might be in for a 3-hour weave, but we came back home, got back on the prompter, and things kept moving. A few things of note. He talked quite a bit about affordability, noted correctly, in my view, that inflation is coming down. Talked about gas prices, which I think is something that should resonate with people. Interestingly, I feel, and I don't even think this is an anti-Trump thing, when gas prices are high, everyone knows it. When gas prices come down, no one notices, or at least they choose not to talk about it. And that's across party lines.
It's certainly not eggs.
Yeah.
Eggs turned out to be the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
People were real mad about eggs. I was mad about eggs.
He talked a good bit about really just the power surge from these data centers and the rise of AI and the impact on utilities, saying that he wants to get some protection in place so that these people are paying their way for this. Notably, what that looks like, we don't quite know, but I could see it being something along the lines of a more formalized progressive tax system on utilities. Talked a little bit about foreign policy. I actually thought he did a good job of staying home. I think foreign policy is very interesting. We certainly talk about it a decent amount on this call just because it does impact markets, and tariffs have been at the forefront. But from a foreign policy standpoint, the reality is I don't think that necessarily resonates with the average American voter. So he didn't spend a whole lot of time there. He did note that Iran has still not really said the magic word in terms of, hey, we're just not going to have a nuclear program, but did note that he'd prefer to use diplomacy there, noted that all the wars he stopped on healthcare, bragged about Trump RX, interestingly saying that he did not come up with that website name. We'll see about that. But he certainly didn't disapprove. He didn't allude to a new retirement savings plan for people that don't have an employer-sponsored plan, saying that the government will match retirement contributions up to $1,000 a year. I didn't like how he messaged that at all. He talked about them getting access to the exact same retirement plan that federal government employees get. They're not getting a $1,000 a year match.
No.
Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, the TSP program. Well, I mean, it's interesting. Say that they have the self-employed TSP program. Then in that case, you are limited to the funds in there, which is, it's like the G fund and the I fund. And those are actually pretty clean. They're very low cost. We have a number of clients who have sizable TSPs, and that's a great system. And it might actually streamline quite a bit of people who are self-employed trying to contribute to retirement accounts. So like that could be a thing. I'm confused as exactly what that setup is as well. So
he talked about fraud, declared war on fraud led by J.D. Vance, again alluding to the fact that this could potentially balance the budget. I don't know that we get to the point that you think we are, but I don't tonally disagree at all. I think when we think about the budget, Ben did a great long-form piece somewhere on the YouTube channel. You can maybe find it.
The Narwhal one, not this one.
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago on just the budget and what's happened. The reality is, I think if you attack the healthcare piece, which we just mentioned, and the fraud piece, that probably gets you there. If you have complete, total victory on either of them, you might get there. So something to keep an eye on just as we think of just overall responsibility of the federal government. They announced Delilah's Law. It's going to ban states from issuing CDLs to illegal aliens. This seems wild that we have to say that out loud and that needs to be codified to me.
I mean, there's the guy who hit the lady last week, and he had a real ID. They posted it on Twitter, like, here's this CDL. And not only that, he could get through the airport with this thing because it's a real ID. A real ID is what they call it, yeah. Which, has become a problem for people at the airport, how easy it is to get IDs. How easy it is to actually get on an airplane if you hypothetically came here and have bad intentions.
He talked about foreign direct investment. I was surprised to see him not go after the Supreme Court more. I think that's probably the correct move.
Yeah.
I really don't think either party is going to win a lot of undecideds or crossover party voters. Neither party's going to win a lot by attacking people wearing robes. It's just not a thing that
doesn't work out well for anybody.
Ask the guy that went after Paul Pelosi how that went.
Hare Krishnas, never a good look.
Yeah. But he was very excited to talk about the $18 trillion in foreign direct investment and did mention that, hey, I think the deals are on despite the Supreme Court ruling. So pretty interesting. Again, on the Trump scale, and I think everyone would get this, I would say I would give him pretty high marks.
I think
for talking for that long on things that, I mean, it was pretty patriotic, tonally, talking about history. I loved the bit where he talked about, the 100 years, one long lifetime, how, we're basically one long lifetime between Thomas Jefferson's death and the 100-year-olds in the room.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty powerful imagery.
I mean, I've talked about that, but the Russells, we have a slow turnover rate. I'm an old dad, son of an old dad, son of an old dad. And I've said this in the office. I don't know if I've said it in the podcast, but my dad would say that his dad would talk about when he would go to the bar when he was a young man, that there would be Civil War veterans there. Yeah. Which is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's just my grandfather. We turn over very slowly.
Yeah.
On account of, well, one was in World War II and gone for a while, and the other one was in Vietnam and gone for a while. So pretty wild, though, to think about.
We got some feedback, switching gears. We got some commentary from James Van Gielen, the founder of Citrini, who put out, really the long form. What are we calling that? The think piece? The
thought exercise?
The blog?
Case study?
The
hypothetical scenario?
It was pretty interesting to hear from him, saying, essentially that if he thought stocks were going to move on this, he would have charged for it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, You've got 120,000 subscribers now. Imagine if they were all paying $10 to read that.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick. But he did note clearly the market's jumpy about this stuff. It's a focal point. I don't know if you have, we discussed this in the investment committee meeting. I don't know if you have additional thoughts or perspectives on it.
I mean, I think the people are just worried that there's a bubble and that they're going to get popped by it. I think a lot of it's driven by the fact that there are a lot of different things going on. There's potential war with Iran. Bonds, have been showing signs of flight to safety. We've got, just a number of different things. And I think there's a little bit of worry because a lot of people who have invested in this market over the last 5-10 years have been really heavily into tech, and that's been the driver.
Yep.
You buy NVIDIA, Google, Apple, you're winning. You're winning all day, every day, for years now. And then suddenly the holders of things like Lockheed and ExxonMobil are the winners. And you start looking around and you're like, man, I don't know. And then, there are all these different things that you hear that AI is going to market correct. And people just get, there's a jumpiness to the market. And I think that's just, it's hard sometimes when NVIDIA's up 2,000% or whatever it is in the last 8 years. And you own ExxonMobil and it's, gotten a market return, maybe a little extra in some years, a little less in others. But having that diversification is important, and having, exposure outside of tech is important. And that's why performance has been so good this year. But I think that we're going to continue to see that. There's a lot of fears that people are going to get market corrected by this. And I think on top of the fact that there's lots of other things going on geopolitically, regular politically, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. A lot of the tech valuations are driven by how many cuts are going to be this year. Think of discounted cash flows. How much is a dollar tomorrow worth today? Well, it depends on what your interest rate is. And I think a lot of that's driving it as well. So I would say take it with a grain of salt. This guy only has 130,000 followers or whatever. So
what's he know?
Yeah, but he's going to have a lot more now. So be careful what you wish for.
We got consumer confidence in yesterday after the call. It was a better reading than people were expecting. The previous reading was 89 for the month of January. People were looking for an 88.6. We came in at a 91.2, both better than expectation and better than the previous reading. Notably, that they thought that in the survey, they said that they thought conditions improved after January's Greenland uncertainty, which I don't even really remember.
Was that really something?
I don't remember being all that uncertain about Greenland, but a lot's been happening this year, so there is that. Areas of improvement, more consumers are saying yes or maybe to buying big ticket items. So we're seeing an increase there. Fewer, as you might expect, saying they're not planning to do that. Seeing improvement in used cars, furniture, TVs, and smartphones. Those kind of remain at the top of that category.
I mean, notably coming down in price too.
Yes. Consumers still preferring to buy used cars. I think I don't really know when that's going to change, if it ever does. Home buying expectations pretty flat, essentially, relative to January, but still on a bit of a lag from where they were 6 months ago. Seeing a tick up on people thinking about TVs, dishwashers, ranges, things like that. Interestingly, not as many people looking to buy refrigerators. I feel like that's a winter effect. I don't know if we normalize this for seasons.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying you can put anything outside and it will stay cold.
Yeah, it's staying real cold right now. Yeah. Hicks has a 12-pack of beer in his front seat, and I think that's just because it's chilly out there.
Because he's thinking about driving later.
Yeah, he's going to get wild out there.
Got to have it within reach while you're behind the wheel.
But I think this is a positive report. I still put less stock in the consumer confidence reports than I do in actual credit card data and what people are actually spending their money on. I'm really at a point right now where I don't care, and this might sound mean, but I really don't care what people say about the economy or their personal spending. I care a lot more right now, maybe more so than ever, about what they're doing, because I think there's a massive disconnect there. I don't know if anything stood out to you on that.
No, I would say that almost as a rule, anything anyone says about themselves, the opposite is actually true.
Yeah. I'm a real dummy.
I'm very funny.
Other company news. Let's see. My computer just froze. I know we've got Stripe looking at buying PayPal.
Man, how the mighty have fallen.
I mean, this is pretty wild that Stripe is now the daddy in this scenario.
Notably, the
Lowe's reported they're in line. Anything else stand out to you?
so the founders of Stripe are the only two billionaires in Ireland.
Really?
They're two brothers who started Stripe,
Well,
and that was a hot company in 2020. There was
Yeah.
a lot of IPO talk about them. They've managed to not do that, but it's crazy to me that they're now big enough that they could take PayPal private.
That's crazy.
Or potentially merge and then take PayPal's ticker and become a publicly traded company, which would probably be good for them for taxes. Do a little inversion, the opposite of what people were doing during the Obama administration, where you buy a tiny company in Dublin and then be like, "That's our headquarters now. We're domiciled in Dublin."
Yep.
So, food for thought. Big week, but we got what I think we have NVIDIA earnings tonight, which is obviously going to be a major topic point for tomorrow's call. So maybe the only thing we talk about, depending on how robust or not robust they are.
Yep.
So
we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting. All right. We'll wrap it up there. We will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.